When you open up Premiere, there is an option right at the start to start a new project or open an existing project if you want to continue working. We're going to select New Project, and then we're going to name our project. And we have to determine where to store the files associated with this project and where to find the source files. So we're going to browse to the correct folder that I have already set up. And I'm going to choose the project file. And now I don't have to do anything more. I can go down here and click OK to start a new project. I am now placed in Premiere Pro's editing workspace. And the first step is to import the media. And to do that, I come up to the File menu. I go down and I select Import. I navigate over to where I have my visual assets. And I just select them all and click Import. And that brings the asset into my project pane so I can review them. The second step is to place my A-roll on the timeline to create the initial sequence. If I double click on any of the assets down here, the source monitor will display what I'm looking at the moment. There is a playhead and I can scrub back and forth. I can trim the clip in the source monitor, so I'm going to show you how to do that. Set the playhead where you want the clip to start. Press the I key on the keyboard. Scrub to where you want the clip to end and press the O key on the keyboard. You have now trimmed the clip and we can place it onto the timeline. Just drag it over and drop. If you have prepared a script that you want to use as the A-roll for your video, that is the narrative backbone of the video, you can record the script directly into Premiere. If you come down to the audio track, the first one that's available, in this case it's A2, and you press the voiceover record button, you can start reading your script directly into Premiere. I now have two audio layers in this video, and I want the audio in audio track 2 to be audible, and therefore I'm going to mute the audio track 1, and I can now play back, and I won't hear the audio on track 1, only the audio on track 2. Step 3 is to illustrate your video with B-roll. I have imported several clips that I would consider B-roll. Now I want to use this one, and I want to use this image as the title for this demonstration video. In order to do that, I need to first move the video clips on the timeline out of the way so I can place the new clip first. So I'll select the whole, just click and drag, and then move it out of the way like so. I come over here and I click and drag the new clip onto the timeline. This is an image, and as such, you can change the duration by simply placing the cursor at the end of the clip and drag it out to increase the duration, or slide it back to decrease it. So now I'm going to fill that gap again. This is this open space here. I'm going to fill that gap. So I select the existing clips and I simply drag them forward until they snap into place. Let's take a look at how this cut appears. And there comes my A-roll into play. As I said, the A-roll is the narrative backbone of your video, and you use B-roll to illustrate the narrative. In this demonstration, I have imported several B-roll clips that I can use. For instance, this one. I can go up and trim this If I don't want to use all of it, I'm going to set an in point there, and I'm going to set an out point right there. Press O on the keyboard to set the out point. And now to place the B-roll on top of the A-roll, I'm going to just drag that clip over to the timeline and drop it on top on track 2 or layer 2, like so. And I'll move my playhead back to show you how that looks like now. As you can see, the topmost clip will be playing, and when it's finished, it will go back and reveal the A-roll, which is sitting underneath. I have one more clip that I want to add as an illustration here. So now I can, and this is an image, so I can't really set in points and out points on that, so I'm going to drag it on the timeline here, and I'm going to make it a little larger. Let me zoom in so we can see that. You see how I'm dragging that? So now let's go ahead and play this to take a look. And that's how you use B-roll. You can use as many tracks as you need. For instance, you may want to have text appearing on top of the B-roll. And in that case, you would place that in video track 3. Later on, we're going to look at how you can utilize more video tracks to add sophistication and complexity to your video. So now I am almost finished. I have a lot of A-roll that I'm not going to use, so I'm going to trim this up. I place the cursor at the end and I just drag this whole thing forward until it snaps into place. So now I've created my whole video using A-roll and B-roll. The final step is to export the video. I come up under File menu and I select Export and Media. There are a couple of settings here that we need to make sure, and one is that format is set to H.264. That's important. And the other thing we want to do is to give it an output name and place it into the appropriate export folder. So in this case, I'm going to call it my first video. I'm going to save it as an MP4 and I click Save. Verify that the entire sequence has been selected. Another thing that I like to use, make sure that use maximum render quality is on. And then once I'm happy with that, I come in here and I click Export. Premiere Pro is now rendering the video, and this was a very short video, so the render doesn't take a lot of time. But if you're making a longer video, be aware that depending on your hardware's capability, this could take several minutes or even hours. And that's how you go about putting together a very basic video in Premiere Pro.